welcome to the Kaiju is in the Details with special guest Little Joe. I'm Ian.
I'm Haru.
That was Little Joe. From the movie King Dinosaur, which is what we watched this time.
Yeah.
Haru, what'd you think of this movie?
Very 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a very polite way of calling this movie absolute filth. Just terrible. Dog shit. Bad movie. We're in the smack middle of the 1950s. It is June 17th, 1955. America is coming onto the scene of the kaiju film. Beyond the fact that they made King Kong, which was the first kaiju film we watched. But they're doing new stuff now. There's going to be a shit ton of these American kaiju films here. And this one, it's not quite a kaiju film, but it's not quite a dinosaur film either.
It's an alien film.
Yeah, I guess
but
that's
not
kind
an
of
alien
closer.
film. Because they it's a lazy alien film in that they make up of new planet and stuff, but it's basically just Earth too. It has all the same animals and shit.
And it also conveniently made itself brought itself right to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Planet Nova. It's where Golden Nova comes from. Did you know that?
I did know that.
You still don't.
But yeah, no, this is the least creative alien planet I've ever seen in any fiction ever.
What if, and hold on with me for this one, there was a planet that had dinosaurs?
Oh my gosh.
So this is a movie made by Burt I. Gordon. This is actually Burt I. Gordon's first film. Burt I. Gordon is a famous, infamous director who made a lot of schlock, but most of it better than this. This is easily his worst film. It's also based on a story he wrote. He was also a writer, and it sucks. It's bad. It's really bad. He's also made films like Tormented, which I've watched on the channel on my streams on twitch.tv/TheEmpireIan, which is a much better film, frankly. It's not a great film, but it's a much better film than this. This movie starts with 6 minutes of stock footage, all narrated by someone who's not even a character in the film. It's just a narrator.
With a lot of the American movies we watched,
narration.
They love to do show and tell, and mostly tell.
Mostly tell. How much show is in this movie? Come on. Most of the shit was stock footage. They did a whole history of the space race of this planet.
Mm-hmm.
This version of Earth where this planet shows up. I mean, and obviously they do because there's this big planet to discover. They did the space race early, basically. Remember, this is 1955. So we hadn't quite got all the space race out of our blood yet.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I just looked this up as we were watching the movie, and technically the space race started in 1955.
Yeah. So it's we're going crazy.
It just started, basically.
I think that stock footage of the mice in space was something that had just been made.
Mm-hmm.
I literally think that was just something that had just been made. And so we have just a lot of stock footage. And then, I said 6 minutes and we stopped using the stock footage. Well, 6 minutes in is when we get our first bit of new footage. It's not when we stop using stock footage. Don't get me wrong. Because the narration isn't done for another 4 minutes beyond that or something like that. Because we have to introduce our four characters, the four actors we see in the movie. Well, besides Little Joe.
Literally 10% of the movie is narration.
And 50% of the movie is stock footage. Even once they get to the planet, it's constantly there's stock footage of animals, random animals, bears, birds, a kinkajou. And actually all the kinkajou footage was was Little Joe, the fifth actor of the movie. Well, I guess sixth if you count the narrator.
In fact, you know what? I got my math wrong. It's not 10%. It's 17% of the movie's narration.
Jesus. It is a very short movie. It's like an hour and 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know how they got this in theaters with it being so small. Even for like that time period, there was still a bit more of a standard on the length of these things. I mean, I guess it was a double feature with a lot of things, so maybe that helped.
Yeah, this is another one of those drive-in movie theater.
Oh yeah, you're not
double
watching
feature movies. You're too busy looking. You're too busy looking into the eyes of the girl next to you.
Yeah. This Oh, and there's also like stock footage of a bunch of larger animals, some like snakes. Mm-hmm. Oh man, they love snakes in this movie.
Yeah.
They had like a boa that they got on one. I think one of the guys got like a boa crawling all over him, and we're supposed to be like, "Oh no, what's the boa gonna do to this guy? What do you think he's gonna do? He's gonna crawl all over him and then go away." Boas can eat very large things, but not a whole person, a whole adult person, I should say. They could probably eat a kid.
Mm-hmm.
They could eat a gator.
Yeah,
but probably not a full size gator. Speaking of gator, our leading man, I guess we really have two leading men. By the way, two women on this expedition, completely unrealistic.
Yeah, no.
This movie is so unrealistic. Why would we have women in space?
Women
we didn't do that shit until the 80s.
Yeah, like, and like when you watch this movie, it's very clear why they didn't put women in space, because they're so hysterical, misogynistic, and like.
Oh, I mean, it's because they're so hysterical, Haru. They can't handle being on an alien planet where there's icky things like snakes.
Yeah, and like they
and giant bull crickets. They
scream at the slightest danger. They can't defend themselves. Well,
that blonde lady's crazy. She's a scream queen.
And they want to be able to, like, you know, participate in the night watch to keep everyone safe, but no, the big strong men will watch over it for you. You girls get some shut eye.
This movie hates women,
mm-hmm.
and it also hates nature.
Yeah,
it thinks nature is evil, but most of all, it hates dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
This movie wants to go back in time and nuke the dinosaurs to show them who's boss.
It does. This movie is just a big fuck you. Men are the best, and humanity is better than animals.
Now you might be thinking at home, well, what you've described sure sounds like a dinosaur picture, and if therefore should be exempt from kaiju in the details. Au contraire, these dinosaurs, they're not dinosaurs. The first dinosaur we run into is an iguana. It's an iguana.
It's a big iguana.
It's an iguana that's made to appear big thanks to clever screening effects, and the fact that it's supposed to be a Tyrannosaurus, according to the movie.
The movie tries to gaslight us into thinking it's a T-Rex.
And you might note that iguanas are four-legged creatures. They sit on four legs. They stand on four legs, whereas Tyrannosauruses stand on two. How's the movie going to fix this? Well, when they first run into the thing, they hide the iguana's legs behind a rock and they hold it up with their hands to make it look like it's upright. That's what they do. And then for the rest of the movie, when they're not doing that, it's just on four legs. They just stop giving a shit.
Yeah. Well,
they establish it's a two-legged creature, and then that's your imagination does the rest.
Because it's either too busy trying to dig into the hole that they, like the cave that they're hiding in, or fighting the giant crocodile.
Or the tegu.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's fighting the tegu. That's right, folks. There's not just one giant lizard. There's 4. We encountered the iguana, who is a T-Rex, apparently. The iguana immediately, like, once it traps the 2. By the way, isn't it weird how these people in the like, when they established this thing, the movie, for like 10 minutes at the beginning of the movie, they didn't say that any of these scientists had relations previously, right? Am I wrong here? And then, like, once they get to the planet, they're like immediately paired off already. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, like,
woman has to have man.
Like, there's,
and they pair off blonde and brunette too. Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah, so, like, I mean, maybe some implication could be made if we wanted to read too much into this. It could be like, well, you know, they were stuck on the spaceship for months and they had to, you know, they had needs. But
the guy's saying they're going to get married.
Yeah. Another way of looking at it is just straight up that the movie is
bad.
Like, you have to have romance in the movie, you know? You can't not have romantic interests, and if they're going on a space mission, they gotta bring some girls along.
How are these men and women in this movie supposed to talk to each other if they're not doing romance with each other, right?
Exactly.
Simple as. Women and men can't just talk to each other normally like normal people. They have to be in a relationship.
And this is the exact reason why we didn't send women into space until the 80s. Because like they would just be flirting with all the men and distracting them
immediately. And then they would have to wrestle crocodiles. Because they tripped or something and then rolled down a cliff into an awaiting alligator. It was an alligator, sorry. The iguana fights a giant crocodile. The leading man fights a normal sized alligator, actually a quite small alligator. It looks big at first when we see that stock footage of it, but then he fights a small sized alligator.
It's a baby alligator.
He like is completely in control of the wrestling the entire time, and then all of a sudden he's like wounded.
Yeah.
I like the part where he was slamming the ground to pretend like he was slamming the alligator with his fist. That was fun.
Yep.
This movie has the worst effects we've ever seen in this entire like podcast.
Yeah.
It's worse than the snow creature.
It is, at the very least, an interesting take to make the dinosaurs just like lizards.
Uh-huh. Oh, I didn't finish describing all the lizards. There's a tegu that shows up later. Tegus are a very popular pet lizard. You'll note that all 4 of these, I mean, are like pretty popular pet lizards, which means they're easy to acquire. And they're also all fairly large lizards, about the same size to each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, iguana, crocodile, tegu, and then we get a monitor lizard that's that goes after them at one point. Although the monitor lizard is really mostly a cameo. I think that's because monitor lizards are a little bit bigger than the others that I mentioned there. Well, I guess the crocodile could theoretically be quite large, but it's a smaller one. I think it's like it might be a caiman even.
Yeah, it's possible.
No Komodo dragons. Those would be way too big. And no Gila monsters. That's for the giant Gila monster, which we'll get to later.
Mm.
And no Mexican beaded lizards either, because they look too much like the giant Gila monster, or like Gila monsters. That movie hasn't come out yet. It doesn't matter. In our timeline, I mean, it's a bad movie, and it's not very kaiju related. I will admit, but these definitely aren't fucking dinosaurs. They're definitely lizards. They're giant lizards. There's a giant mole cricket. There's a giant armadillo at one point, like just a fucking armadillo.
Yeah.
Like, they're just using screening effects all over the place here, and a lot of them look really bad, especially the mole cricket. That one, there was like holes in the footage that they where they just like they didn't have the color balance right because it was just like stock footage they were using, and so they ended up burning holes in the actual footage and just laying it on top because they didn't have time to fix it or whatever.
Yeah, the mole cricket was not.
I think the mole cricket was the worst effect in the movie, honestly.
Yeah, it's
besides maybe the rocket ship landing.
Yeah, it would be either the rocket ship landing or the mole cricket, but both were just awful to look at.
Truly horrendous. I will say though, good choice of bug to be scared of. Mole crickets look disgusting.
Yeah. Also, speaking of the rocket ship, don't watch this movie if you're easily motion sick, because the launch scene it's just the camera's spinning around.
Yeah, I think it's stock footage of something that like fucked up in orbit or something, like going up into orbit or something. I don't know where they got that footage from. There's no way they filmed it themselves. Or maybe they did. I don't know. It does not match what the rocket ship that they want you to think is happening is doing. Because the rocket ship they want you to see is just going straight up, but this camera's just going all over the fucking place. Like, oh. And then the landing scene is like they are doing an overlay of the rocket ship. So they've isolated the rocket ship footage from the background and are making it land on this like woodland set that they have. Well, that's not a set. I think it just went out into the fucking woods and filmed. And they didn't. They weren't able to line this up quite right so it keeps like coming in and out a little bit. So the footage kind of shakes around a lot as they're making the rocket ship land. It's great. It's great stuff. Incredible work. Thanks.
And like when the rocket ship entered the atmosphere of planet Nova, it was like it took me a second to realize that they were even in the atmosphere, because the way the effect looked like to me was like it was doing a fade out, but it wasn't. It was like 50% done. It was like the entire scene was like a half fade out.
Yeah, the again with the tech that at the time, the way they were isolated the rocket footage ended up making the rocket like translucent, which is very unfortunate. It's a real interesting. I think a movie like this is actually quite interesting because it kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain a little bit on how films are made, like films like this are made. Because the effects are so bad, you can literally like just see behind what's going on.
Yeah.
I love Little Joe.
He is the best character.
He's a kinkajou. Kinkajous are neat. Why do they call him a lemur in the movie? He's a fucking kinkajou, or as they call it sometimes, a honey bear.
Yeah,
that's what they call him in the credits. By the way, this movie was produced by Robert Lippert, which is not going to matter to most people, but will matter to bad movie aficionados. Very, very infamous producer. You know, I think if this movie was made today, instead of the planet being called Nova, it would be called Nibiru.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is like if Nibiru, the 12th planet, had been released, this movie would have been fucking Nibiru pilled. Because this is literally some shit out of the 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin. If you want to hear more about Zecharia Sitchin and the history of Nibiru as a concept, I've got a video essay I'm working on about it for my main channel, The Empire Ian, on YouTube.
Ooh.
And I'm very excited about it because it is a very fun and interesting history. I like the history of little cranks. When they first land on the planet, they say, an active volcano. This planet is quite young. Do the people who made this movie not realize that we have active volcanoes on our planet?
Yeah. I don't know. It's, I guess, like a stereotype of like the dinosaur age had a ton of volcanoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, have you ever been to Iceland?
At one point in my notes, I wrote stock footage of animals snuck in the movie. And then immediately afterwards, I had to write, snuck implies that it's not constant, actually. Like, it's not snuck in there. It's just, like, all over the place. It's constant stock footage of animals.
Yeah, like we've got bears and stuff and snakes and there are like some deer at one point.
I swear to God, the only things that are like original to this film are the ones where the guys have to wrestle the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, a snake! Shoot it! Oh God, a crocodile! Let me wrestle it! Oh my God, another snake! Oh yeah. Fuck, a giant mole cricket!
Literally, and throughout all of this, literally the roles of our four characters are the girls will scream and the men will shoot things with guns.
Well, hold up, because it's the blonde woman's job to scream at first, and the other woman is to go, women, am I right, men? Until they see the dinosaur, and then she gets hysterical too, because all women are women.
Mm-hmm. You know me, I get hysterical all the time.
Mm-hmm. Every time you see a snake, you start screaming.
Yeah.
If you think all that's obnoxious, though, just wait till you hear the soundtrack.
God. Oh my God.
Like that's the soundtrack for a part of the movie. The end of the movie is the soundtrack starts going over and over again. It's just this movie is very focused on oboes, which for those who don't know, oboes can sound quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But they can also sound quite bad. Clarinets, French horns take a lot of this movie, but it's like just them, right? There's it's a lot of solos where it's just like the bass is going boom 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 or something like that, and then the fucking oboe just goes or something stupid, like it's like the little fiddly shit. It's so goddamn annoying. This soundtrack is like one of the worst we've encountered. It is obnoxious. That's the only word to describe it.
Yeah, it's a huge step back from Godzilla.
Oh yes, oh yes. Even when they replaced it with stock music from fucking Warner Brothers, it's a step down from that.
Yeah.
Hey Haru, would you like some quotes from the movie?
Let's go.
What age would you say that it is? It is being the planet. Prehistoric. Of course it's prehistoric! There's no person to make history here! There's no person to write history, I should say. What are you talking about? Next one. One of the fucking guys was like, hey, this planet could be hospitable to human life, because they're trying to colonize this planet, because of course they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the girls says, thanks, but I'll take Earth, USA.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. This is in regards to all the safety precautions that the people planning the mission have like put upon these people. They including don't split the party, like the number one rule.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 4 of these people, remember? They're trying to split up into 2 groups. They all read too much science fiction. They must have thought we run into some kind of super race up here. What? Huh? Why? When At one point in the movie, all the dinosaurs live on an island for some reason. So they go out to the island and they find the dinosaurs. But before they find the dinosaurs, they're hearing thunder, and it's just a fucking thunder sound effect. It is very clearly thunder, and then the woman's like, almost an animal roar. And then it turns out it is an animal roar because they get closer and then they play a sound effect, a completely different sound effect that is clearly an animal roar. And then they're like, oh, it was animal roar. Like, what? Stupid.
Don't you know that T-Rexes sound like thunder?
Yep. Speaking of T-Rexes, here's our next quote. It resembles the Tyrannosaurus Rex of Earth's prehistoric age. King Dinosaur. Title drop.
He said the title.
Here's the here's the second to last quote, and this one gives away the ending. So make sure you watch the film or don't. I don't care. This one's bad. Don't watch it. I brought the atom bomb. I think it's a good time to use it. That's right, folks. They brought an atom bomb, and they're gonna nuke the first sign of life that they've seen.
Like, this is a like science expedition. Like, this is an expedition mission. Yep. Why do they have a nuke?
Oh, as the expedition exposition said, is they just wrought something that could be used as a nuke for some reason if you let it go off the rails.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Like, this was the 1950s.
Yeah, like for some reason they needed this I was about to say artifact. They needed this object that if you don't like pay attention, like take care of it, it turns into a nuke for some reason.
Yeah,
and so they decided to turn it into a nuke, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe it was supposed to be a nuke, and it was just like, oh, these scientists will make sure to take care of it.
Well, it's typical 1950s. You can't go to the supermarket without bringing a nuke with you.
For sure. And we got one more quote here. Well, we've done it. Yeah, we sure have done it. Brought civilization to planet Nova. That was after they nuked the dinosaur island.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be ironic. Like, it's like civilization is destruction. But it's also hard to tell if it's ironic, which is a bad thing.
Yeah. I honestly took that at face value because it's just like...
That's really fair because
like,
that's kind of the way it reads.
They just showed up and... Like I could see it as trying to be a satire, maybe, but like...
They didn't need to nuke the island, right?
Yeah.
The dinosaurs were there before they got there. They go over to the island, and then they get into trouble. They get out of trouble, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to nuke them. And then they have to run off the island anyways, right? Because they have to run away from the nuke that they set.
Yeah.
So... Why the fuck did they nuke the dinosaurs?
This is typical, and we've like, I think we ran into similar themes with, like, all the way back with King Kong, where it's like people going to a place that is completely outside their element, like untouched by the outside world, and then they just destroy it. Like, they just ruin it.
For, like, no reason. Like, at least in King Kong, it was greed.
Yeah.
This time, it's just like, I don't know, we got scared.
Yeah,
the dinosaurs scared us, so we're gonna nuke them.
You stepped into the lion's territory, the lion got mad at you, and so you killed the lion.
And everything that lived near the lion.
Yeah.
And probably themselves, too, because they were not taking proper precautions to watch this nuclear blast. These motherfuckers are irradiated.
Yeah.
And so is Little Joe.
Yeah.
Because he watched, too. They carried that Kaiju all the way back. By the way, they sling this Kaiju around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know Kakajus have strong tails, but man, they just grab this guy's tail and throw him everywhere. Holy shit. Oh, speaking of animal injuries, Haru, I know you're the veggie inclined,
Mm-hmm.
the vegetable inclined. Would you be happy to know that animals were harmed in the making of this movie?
No, but it
I didn't think you
also
would be,
it wouldn't surprise me either, because
because there's a large amount of scenes that are just two lizards duking it out.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, those lizards
in
were actually
general,
hurting each other.
just in general, with like
The vibe.
with this being a movie from the 50s, and we have a bunch of footage of animals. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't treat those animals very well.
Yeah.
And yeah, just straight up, like,
They were doing fucking lizard cage fights.
I see the crocodile having the iguana in like a death roll. It's like they didn't stage that. They just kind of like let them be at each other. Like,
yeah, I think for some of them they might have been like gluing the lizards together a little bit, like the mouth to the arm, but then they just let the lizards do fucking death rolls on each other.
yeah.
Like, what the fuck, dude? And they are covering these lizards in fake blood, but I think these lizards are also getting covered in real blood.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately think these lizards are hurting each other. It's not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
But we watched it, so you don't need to. Oh, there was a woolly mammoth in the movie. Did you like that effect? Wasn't that effect pretty good, actually? Like,
yeah.
Surprisingly good compared to the rest of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like, suspiciously good to the point where it's clearly stock footage from a different movie? Well, surprise, it is. It's stock footage from a movie called 1 Million BC.
Oh.
I like how the one good effect in the movie is from a different movie. Okay, yeah, no, it's the power supply, the auxiliary nuclear power supply. That's what the atomic bomb was.
Oh, you know what?
So they unharnessed it, is what they call it. What they say.
That actually makes perfect sense, because, you know, of course the rocket has to run on a nuclear power supply.
Yeah, and that's just the extra one.
Yeah.
So they can still get back home safe.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
funny when you read the Wikipedia page for this movie, it explains all the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they first discovered normal Earth animals like a kinkajou, which they refer to as lemur, crows, which they call vultures, and an alligator, which is supposed to be this prehistoric species of alligator. They encounter and battle giant insects. They don't actually explain which ones. An enormous snake known as Gigantophis. I don't think that's what they do. I think it's a boa. And prehistoric mammals like a cave bear. I don't remember a bear at all.
I mean,
I don't remember them fighting a bear. I remember there being bears.
Yeah, I don't
remember them fighting a bear.
I don't remember them fighting one either. I remember I remember the bear cubs.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't even a full-size bear in this movie. And then a mastodon and a glyptodont. For those who don't know, glyptodonts are like these kind of like armadillos, which is what they're talking about. They're talking about the armadillo that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, these are like woolly armadillos, basically. Glyptodonts are freaky little creatures. Which is it is weird that they mentions it there, because it then goes on to explain how they went to the island, which is completely out of order for the mastodon and the armadillo.
Mm-hmm.
So, whoever's doing the Wikipedia page, you fucked up.
You didn't watch the movie,
or you half remembered it.
Yeah.
I guess we should talk about the fact that this movie was on Mystery Science Theater. Because there's nothing else to talk about, really, because this is a bad movie. So yeah, this was on Mystery Science Theater. It's a classic episode, and there you go. I don't know. That's all there really is to say. I like it. It's a fun episode. Just got Joey the Lemur.
So there's like one other thing I just want to add about like the space mission.
Mm-hmm.
Something that really bothers me throughout the movie, and like this can mainly just be written off by like, oh, you know, it was the 1950s, like they barely knew anything about outer space besides what like NASA was researching.
Mm-hmm.
But like they don't really follow any, they barely follow any protocols for the mission. Like when they first land, it's just like they do a handful of tests and it's like, all right, cool, let's take our helmets off, the air is perfectly safe to breathe, and now we're just gonna pretend we're on Earth now because
yeah, they like go to drink water.
We've done enough tests.
The blonde lady keeps going like, oh, there's so much unknown bacteria here, this could really get us sick. Anyways, let's go drink some of the water.
Yeah. Like there's no, like basically the whole space mission, like sciencey stuff is all just like a facade. Pretext. For like it's they drop it as basically as soon as they land on the planet,
because all they want to do is to nuke the dinosaurs. They just want to nuke the dinosaurs because they fucking hate them.
Yeah,
they think they're stupid. They want to show you how smart we are. We have nukes. What do you dinosaurs have? Fucking teeth? Bullshit. Nuke you. Boom. You're dead. Haru, I'm going to send you some posters of this movie on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
You seen these posters?
Uh-huh.
Imagine seeing these posters, which you can find on a Google search or on the Wikipedia page for the movie. Imagine seeing these posters and going, ah, King Dinosaur. That sounds like a movie I would like to watch because it will have dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to see the movie and seeing the dinosaurs in the movie.
Yeah, I would be incredibly disappointed. Like, this is like, so you know the
I just sent another one that gives you a side-by-side comparison of the dinosaur on the poster I just sent you and then the actual fucking iguana.
Oh my god,
that's incredible.
Yeah, no, like this would be the equivalent of like, so you know, Ugly Sonic for the Sonic movie. It's basically they had the final product Sonic in all the trailers and stuff, and then you go and see the movie and it's just Ugly Sonic.
Yeah. Oh. That's so funny. I can't believe they made posters like that for this. Even fucking Leonard Maltin is like, this movie sucks shit. He gave it a 1. Dude doesn't give a 1 to anything.
Oh my god.
Wait, no, 0. Sorry, a 0 out of 4.
A 0?
Yeah, it doesn't give a 0 to hardly anything, dog. Boring, silly, and awesomely cheap. I think it's all of those, except for the awesome part. I think it kind of is just lame. I don't know. It's easy to make fun of. Mystery Science Theater did a good job of it. But even then, it's still kind of boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
what happens in this movie? Woman screams, man fights animal. Woman screams, man fights animal. Woman screams, man fights animal.
Yeah.
And then suddenly dinosaurs, except they're lizards.
Yeah.
They're big lizards.
Yeah, like I don't mind it only being an hour long.
Oh no, certainly not. It feels like way longer than that.
But it doesn't need to be an hour long because it's like nothing adds anything to
anything.
So like, basically, if we wanted to whittle this down, like, we could just have the one guy gets injured by the alligator, and that's why they have to split the party, and then the two people go over to the island and find the dinosaurs. We don't need to have the snakes or the mole cricket or any of that other stuff, because it doesn't add anything. It's just it just establishes.
Literally, just get to the fucking dinosaur island.
Yeah, I knew they were gonna end up there because, like, you know,
It's in the title.
The title says King Dino. I mean, this is the kaiju's in the details. I'm waiting for the kaiju, and they just take their time getting to the island, and it's like, why is this movie wasting my time?
A good question. Now, you may be wondering why we watched this movie. And like I said, these dinosaurs aren't really dinosaurs. It feels appropriate because these are fucking lizards. And they're giant lizards. And we will be watching some other giant lizard movies in the future. But also because this movie is a very good source of stock footage of lizards fighting. If you don't want to pay for your own lizard fights, you can just steal some lizard fights from this movie here. It's not the only source for lizard fight stock footage, but it is one of them. Although this one, unlike some of the other ones, this one didn't even like bother like gluing dinosaur parts onto these lizards. Like some of them will glue like a Dimetrodon sail, and I know Dimetrodon's not a dinosaur, but people back then thought they were because they're well, I was about to say because they're idiots, but it's just because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I don't think scientists thought they were dinosaurs. I don't know when that distinction was made, frankly, as far as science goes. But people sure, like general public people sure did for a long time. And so a lot of people still do, actually. So there.
A lot of people still think the world is flat.
It still implies a continuity of thought, whereas the modern flat Earth movement is entirely created in the mid 1900s.
Fair point.
Nope. Nobody thought the Earth was flat for centuries until exactly 19 probably 80s. I don't know exactly when modern flat Earth began, but I would have to imagine it was sometime in the late 1900s. But I could be wrong on that. It could be mid 1950s or something like that. I don't know. Hollow Earth is an older theory than modern flat Earth. At least Hollow Earth comes from like the 1800s. Oh god, we're gonna have to talk about the stupid Hollow Earth shit in the fucking King Kong Godzilla movies. Haru, I don't want to talk about Hollow Earth. It's so stupid. That's a long ways away. We're so far away from that. It'll never happen. We'll never get there. Well, time does march inexorably forward. I'm almost 29.
True.
Fuck. And you know what? Maybe we will go back in time and nuke the dinosaurs someday. Or another planet. Wink, wink. Is there anything else to talk about in this movie?
No, I think we've about covered it. Like we've already talked about all like a lot of the themes, like misogyny, hatred of dinosaurs,
Space race.
Yeah, we've got a lot of man versus nature.
Yep. A lot of man versus nature. It's an American kaiju film, so it's a lot of man versus nature.
And it's man versus nature, not woman versus nature.
Oh yes. I think we mentioned that there's like only 4 actors in this movie, but could I really dig down in that? 4 actors in this movie. 4 total actors in this movie. Oh, besides Joe, of course.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Joe.
Little Joe. Yeah, he is given credit. He is in the credits. He's Little Joe, the honey bear. What did Little Joe the honey bear do after this? Do you think?
Good question. I hope he lived a fulfilling life and
I
wasn't
think he
treated
probably
poorly.
made so much money off of this movie that he just went deep into a cocaine hole and never returned.
Yeah.
And then they started calling him the honey bear for a different reason. Yeah, it's crazy that there's literally 4 people in this movie total. Like, there's like the narrator at the beginning, but then the narrator disappears for the rest of the movie. He's just there to exposit all the shit that we couldn't film because we were on a severe budget. Otherwise, it is just these 4 people, 2 men, 2 women, who have been paired off by their hair color. Real Aryan shit up in here. It's I mean, you kind of got to give it to them a little bit. They took a very small amount of money and made a movie. How much? $15,000.
Holy shit.
Haru, I have $15,000 in my bank account right now. We could make a movie.
That said, this is $15,000 of 1950s movies.
Yes.
Yeah, so like,
Haru, we could not make a movie.
I'm not even gonna look it up. I'm just gonna ballpark like what, 50,000?
Who knows? You know what? Actually, we probably could still make a movie. It would just look worse than this, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, don't know about that. We'd have better equipment for that kind of shit now.
I mean, there have been movies made on a smaller budget. Like,
yeah, we could make a better movie than this. I'm not gonna, because I don't want to put in that work. Haru, this made $55,000 at the box office. They returned. They got like a
made
return
its
of
money
like,
back.
Yeah, and like with a significant return. That's like 3 times what they put into it.
Yeah.
Wow.
How much money did Joe get?
I think he got most of the budget. I think probably 10,000. 1,000 for each of those terrible actors. 10 for the good actor. And then 1,000 for the effects.
Yep.
What's that, Joe? Is it time to end the podcast? Okay. That's really rude, Joe. You didn't need to end the show like that. We didn't have anything else to say, but like, come on. It's really mean. Oh, Jesus. I'll get you your cocaine. Fuck. Stop hitting me. Thank you so much for listening to the Kaijus in the Details. You can find this podcast wherever podcasts are, and then you can show it to other people that way too. Them Pod Ian is the YouTube channel if you want to be on YouTube listening to this. I know a lot of people do your YouTube podcast. There you go. Otherwise, whatever podcast app people want, that's there too. Make sure to share it around. That really helps get the word out, and that's the best way to make a podcast like this grow. Haru, where can people find you specifically?
I am Haru Hayes. I'm on Twitch where I stream. I'm on Blue Sky where I sometimes post if I feel like it. I'm actually, I'm also on Discord and on Tumblr. Yeah.
Hooray!
I'm also on YouTube.
Oh yes, you are. You need to remember that. I'm Thempire Ian. You can find me everywhere as Thempire Ian. Wherever you want to find me, that's Thempire Ian, or Tomb of Thempire Ian for my VODs and stuff, or Thempod Ian, as I said, to find this podcast or other podcasts I end up doing. That's good enough for me. So it's time to say sayonara to the King Dinosaur. Sayonara, King Dinosaur.
Sayonara, King Dinosaur. You iguana-ass motherfucker.